Welcome. Once Jennifer's got it loaded up here, thank you. Yeah, so the class is, again, my name is Michael. I'm the history teacher here. I've been here, this is year 14 now, and the title of the course is Environmental Citizenship. When I first came here, I was teaching regular U.S. history, and I was teaching AP U.S. history, so more traditional classes. And then when we shifted over to the four-year model, we said, let's create a history class that's a little different. Wow, what a great opportunity, fantastic. So my thought was, I taught more traditional classes. I love being a history student, but it was always kind of like, I thought it could be more exciting, more experiential. So my goal with this class, with the history class, is to make it as experiential as possible. Get outside as much as possible, feel the history. So you'll see that through the presentation, what I'm trying to accomplish with this class. So here the students are, one of our many classrooms, all as much as possible trying to get outside and be on that land, keep the students active and engaged. Aldo Leopold, one of the first voices we look at through history. And this piece, we look at his piece, Thinking Like a Mountain, where Leopold talks about that epiphany, that moment he had where he realized he had to change his thinking on something. So we read this piece as part of looking at the good oak, and I have the students then think about, all right, when did I have that moment that I became an environmental citizen? When did I get my voice? When did I start thinking the environment was something that I had some concern about? So I have the students right away write an essay on that. We get a chance to share those out with each other and start thinking about where we had that moment of change. This is one of the books I use, and I like this book, and I'll read this quote here. This is by an author named Philip Shabikoff. I don't use it as a textbook, but I use some excerpts out of it. I try to get as many different readings as possible. It's called A Fierce Green Fire. He was the environmental editor for the New York Times for many years. And I love this little piece they talk about. A fierce green fire is a vital reminder of how far we have come in protecting our environment and how much we have to lose. So that idea that, and it's a very pragmatic book, that idea that, we have come a long way. Because sometimes we can look at the environmental situation we're in and we can get really kind of depressed. It's kind of challenging at times. But if we look back at history, we can realize we have come a long way. So there's hope. So I try to always bring in that hopeful aspect that there's, we've come through some tough times, we've made some improvements. Let's look back so we can then look forward, looking in a more positive light. Looking back and looking forward, I have the students as part of that thinking about their hometowns. And here's Emma showing us her hometown and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And what was it like before Columbus arrived? What was the land like? What was going on? What was the economy like? After European settlement, and then moving forward, what's it going to be like in the future? So here's Emma showing off her little timeline that she did. Here's a few others from some different towns. La Crosse, got one from Massachusetts there. So just getting students to think about change over time. What are we looking for? What do we want the future to look like? One of the units we do is Western exploration, so looking at the land of the West and how it has changed. And we'll look at through the lens of Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark, when they went out there, they were entering a land that had been really relatively unaltered, except for some, burning of some prairies and things like that, but relatively unaltered. So they went out there and they saw lots of change, or started the moving forward with change. Lewis and Clark built a lot of boats. So one of the things I do with this unit is we spend some time making a dugout canoe, a physical connection to the story. So here I got this big giant white pine log and they're working on the boat. And you can see here, this is one of the boats that's done. And this is a kind of a fun little activity. It gets the students engaged. We do some readings along the way. We study the history. And of course, if you have a dugout canoe, you got to paddle that thing, right? You got to take it out on the lake. So I got to tell you a quick story of the students. The first time we finally got this boat ready to go on the water. And we didn't know. It's a log, right? Logs roll. They're very tippy. So, and I had this canoe guy. He owns a canoe outfitting business. And he said, it's a log. It's going to roll. You got to put some outriggers on it. I said, well, I've done some research and Lewis and Clark did it. He says, no, it's a log. It's going to roll. got to put some outriggers. Okay, well, we'll see. So we were all excited. We didn't know what was going to happen with this boat. So we got it down. We hauled it down to the landing. It wasn't quite even finished yet. We got it there, and everybody's out there filming. Stefan's out there with his video camera and everybody, and they're all excited. And Johnny and Kira, they drew the short straws. They got to go first. And, oh, man, what was going to happen to this boat? And we pushed it off, and it paddled like a dream. It's stable as can be. The boat is beautiful. It's wonderful. So it's really, you can get a real sense of the history through this activity. And of course, if you have this beautiful dugout canoe, even though it paddles really well, you have some students that for some reason decide they want to launch themselves off of the boat. I don't quite always understand that, but here it's 40 degrees and raining sideways, but hey, why not jump in the water? So it's become part of a tradition of students jumping in the lake there. One of the classes we do, where we get to combine, I know Jeff talked about it and Stefan talked about how we have this block schedule so we can combine our English and history classes. And this is one where we go into the Sylvania wilderness and we emulate the Great Falls portage that Lewis and Clark did around the falls of the Missouri River. So we'll read some of the journal entries. We paddle through the lakes, we portage, we feel the weight of the canoes on our backs. We're working hard, but we're also along the way studying and discussing, and in this case, we get to go into the federally designated wilderness and think about what is wilderness going to look like in the future? What is the value of having places like this set aside? So we could have really some great discussions out there while also getting some physical exercise and learning some history along the way. So it's a really great combination. One of the things I like to do is look at different viewpoints of anything we look at. And this is a case where I use this book, Lewis and Clark Through Indian Eyes. And this is an author named Vin Deloria Jr., who, what did the Lewis and Clark expedition mean to the native people who were out there? So it's different perspectives. They're always trying to get different perspectives into the class. John Wesley Powell, he sounds like an explorer, a great, first person to take a rowboat through a boat through the Grand Canyon. But he was also an environmentalist. This is a guy who understood the West for what it was, a region that didn't have enough water. You could not settle the West the same way you could do the Midwest. You had to think about the water as a very, very valuable commodity, a very valuable resource. So if you're going to study John Wesley Powell, heck, you might as well go do it out on rowboats. So just trying to create different classrooms to get people out there experiencing and feeling the history as much as possible. When we talk about local history, we look at the Civilian Conservation Corps. The Civilian Conservation Corps did an incredible job when they started to realize that the North Woods had been logged off and was destroyed essentially. Let's go back out there. Let's create something. Let's plant trees. Let's build trails. Let's bring a rebirth to the North Woods, to these regions. So the Civilian Conservation Corps played a huge role here. And one of the things they did was they built lots of trails. So we might as well build some trails here on campus, connecting the students to the lessons, to the history, making them feel it. Get out there and actually build those trails, as Jeff talked about, feeling the blisters on your hands. We have a great network of single track trails here on campus now too, which is awesome. And all the students have been involved in this, all connected to this. Northwoods logging history, yeah, we're going to look at the history of the Northwoods through the logging era because that played a huge role in how it altered the environment around here. Well, we're not going to go down and cut down a bunch of trees, but at least we can go split some wood. That's kind of a fun activity to keep the students engaged. Polar explorer and environmental advocate Anne Bancroft. This is a woman who did a lot of exploration. Now she's dedicated her time and her efforts towards the environment. And she's raising awareness about places that are in trouble. She's been recently looking at water resources around the globe. She did a great job of pulling sleds across Antarctica and other places like that. So, what the heck, we might as well pull some sleds across different frozen bodies of water too. So yeah, as Jeff talked about too, not always outside doing everything. Here the students are actually working on a 5-paragraph essay. I'm a firm believer in the value of learning how to write a good, solid 5-paragraph essay. Every time I write a recommendation letter for a student, it's nothing more than a simple 5-paragraph essay. Nothing more than a good introduction, 3 bullet points, 3 main points that I'm highlighting on, why that student was a great student, and then a good, solid conclusion. It's really simple. If the students can get that formula down, they're going to be much better off in their writing. So we spend some time working on that. So some different voices from the class. Anybody know who this guy is? That is David Brower. David Brower was involved. We're just actually finished up a piece. We're talking about David Brower. He protected a lot of places. In this case, he was working with a mineralogist who was trying to talk about the value of mining. We look at the book Encounters with the Archdruid with David Brower. Aldo Leopold here, Marty Murray, great environmental voice, Anne Bancroft here. We have Rachel Carson, John Wesley Powell. So just a few of the voices, a few of the people we look at, always trying to keep our environmental where we're going with our environment in the forefront of our mind. Thank you.